Are you tired of being told that the reason why you're not improving at poker is because you're just not studying hard enough? Well, good news, wizards. I'm here to tell you that there are ways that you can instantly improve your poker game without the need for additional study time. So let's talk about what those methods are. Now, there are really two main categories of things that we're going to be talking about in this video. The first is maximizing the effectiveness of the existing study time that you're putting in. So that means we're not necessarily talking about putting in more hours. We're talking about making the current hours that you put in more effective. The second thing is maximizing the quality of your performance at the table. So getting you performing closer to your best game every time you sit down to play. Both of these things are really, really important in the long term in developing your poker game. So let's talk about each of them in turn here. Now, the first thing that I would recommend in terms of improving the effectiveness of your existing studying is to choose active study methods over passive study. The reason I say this is because a lot of players fall into the trap of just only studying passively. The reality is that no matter how many training videos you watch, it won't be enough if you're not supplementing them with active study methods, because your active study is what's going to actually activate the right areas of your brain to make better decisions in real time. In essence, passive study does not engage the physical parts of your brain that are used in decision making. When you're studying passively, you are supporting your understanding of ideas and their context, but you're not doing anything to actually help you play better. There are almost an infinite number of ways to engage in active study, but a lot of players just don't do it because it requires more effort than simply sitting at your computer or on your phone and watching a video. So if you can, find ways to study actively. This means talking with other players, running your own sims using solvers instead of just browsing the archive. It means doing things that involve writing hands down, taking notes about opponents. Everything that is practical, everything that is more active is always going to train your brain in a better way than purely passive analysis. The second thing I would recommend here is not always studying alone. There are huge benefits to engaging in collaborative study methods. It allows you to engage multiple different regions of the brain and benefit from what we refer to as the protege effect. What this means is that explaining something to somebody else is going to solidify your own understanding of a concept. And really interestingly, this works even if you're only pretending to teach somebody else. You don't actually have to have another person there. You can simulate the process of teaching and pretend that you're explaining it to someone else, and it still has the same effect on your brain. Now, when it comes to actually finding ways to study with other players, clearly the internet is your friend here. The GTO Wizard Discord server is a great place to start. Many players on there are going to set up private Discord servers for study partnerships or groups. There's a whole study group channel that you can find in the server. And there's so many people worldwide that are studying poker at any given time. You can almost always find someone at your level to partner with and collaborate with to study more effectively. Our third focus here is to find the topics that you enjoy studying, because enjoyment is a powerful enhancer of learning effectiveness. If you prioritize studying topics that you enjoy, or using methods that you find enjoyable, you're immediately going to be increasing the ROI that you get on every hour of studying, for example. Now, of course, you can't only study the things that you enjoy, but it's an ideal starting point if you're struggling to know where you should begin, what subjects you should start with. You should start with the things that are enjoyable because they're going to be more sustainable and are going to help you to dive in more depth to learn a concept to the point where it actually becomes ingrained in your game. Now, some of you might be out there thinking, well, what if I don't enjoy any of it? The bottom line here, unfortunately, is that if this is you, poker is going to be a big challenge for you, and you should accept that going in, because success in poker is heavily correlated with finding enjoyment in the process of studying and improving. If you don't have this, if you don't enjoy studying and getting better at poker, you need to cultivate that, because without it, you're going to get bored long before you ever reach your true potential in poker. And you're probably going to end up giving up the game altogether, because in the end, the game can only be sustainable up to a point if the only thing you enjoy is winning or making money. You have to enjoy studying and getting better and that self-improvement process if you want that improvement to be continuous and sustainable in the long term. The final thing that I would recommend here when it comes to improving the effectiveness of your studying is to engage with poker as often as possible. Because even if you're not actually studying, engaging with poker helps to immerse you in the game. It helps to improve your ability to instinctively connect concepts together. If you're completely forgetting about poker 5 days out of the week, you're not going to reinforce your neural pathways in the same way. Engaging with poker outside of studying helps you to put some specific types of information into context and helps to combat what we call the forgetting curve, where if you study a thing and then you go quite a long time before you actually use it, you forget it and you have to go back to square one. The good news is that there are a ton of ways to engage with poker outside of studying. Things like watching live streams, following social media accounts, watching video content, or reading poker articles. Now, there's a big overlap here between studying with others and increasing overall engagement. One is going to naturally lead to the other in many cases. If you study regularly with other players, you're going to talk more about poker, you're going to follow poker in more detail, and so on. So in general, I would highly recommend dovetailing these two methods together, matching up continuous engagement with poker with studying with other players, and also with the active learning part of this too. So you can really see that a lot of these methods are coalescing with each other. They're overlapping with each other in a way that if you look at all the best players and the way that they study, all of these factors and all of these methods are incorporated into that. So now we come to the portion of the video where we talk about how to actually improve the quality of your play when you're at the table. And the first piece of advice here is probably the number one problem affecting recreational poker players. It's playing when you're tired. And of course, the advice in that regard is don't do it. Most people don't get enough sleep to begin with. And if you're playing poker after finishing a full day at work, if you're getting home and grinding online for 4 hours every evening, you're going to play a long way below your best. Any poker that you play while in a subpar condition is unlikely to help your development. In fact, it could actively be causing you to get worse. There are many players out there who will learn a concept to a certain level and then go away and play and make false assumptions about how valuable that concept might actually be, or false assumptions about the correct way to implement it, simply because when they go out and play, they're so tired or they're so lacking in their full cognitive capacity that they can't implement it accurately or with any kind of degree of precision. So in many ways, it can actually harm the learning process and make it take longer for you to actually implement a specific idea. The second thing here is to treat your sessions as competition. And this is, I think, another thing that's particularly relevant for recreational players, where it's easy to treat a poker session like it's just a fun time. We're just showing up to gamble and we're going to enjoy ourselves, right? But if you treat your sessions as competition, it's going to reflect in the way that you actually perform, and vice versa. If you treat poker like a hobby where you show up to gamble, you hope it goes well, it's virtually impossible this is going to produce peak performance. But if you approach the game competitively in the same way that you would when playing a sport, you're conditioning yourself to perform at a high level. You're conditioning yourself to take the game very seriously and to recognize that even though it is gambling, even though it is something where we don't control the outcome, our goal is to show up and play our best every single time. Our goal is not to show up and just hope that it goes well because we're gambling and we're trying to run good. We want to treat this as competition. We want to take it really seriously. Our third thing here, which I hope is something that some of you will already be doing, is to build a consistent pre-game routine. Because since we are showing up to compete, we need a warm-up routine. We need something and help us to get into that competitive mindset. It could be exercise, it could be meditation, it could be running GTO Wizard trainer drills, or almost anything else which works well to get you into the right mindset to play. Warming up helps to reinforce those neural pathways, and it increases your confidence by adding a sense of control and predictability to a sequence of events. You know that once you finish your warm-up, it's time to go play, and you're in that competitive mentality. And this is going to really help reinforce all the preparation that you do every time you go play. And finally, this might be the most difficult one of the whole bunch, which is forgive yourself for mistakes. Research has shown that forgiveness plays a very important role in self-evaluation. Berating yourself for mistakes, beating yourself up is not going to increase the chances of getting it right next time. In fact, this makes things a lot worse. It makes it harder for you to get it right next time. So every time you make a mistake, maybe you punt off a stack and you beat yourself up relentlessly over that and you agonize over it for weeks, it's just making it harder for you to get it right next time. So forgiving yourself is going to lead to reduction in anxiety. It's going to lead to a better learning process, and it's going to improve your brain's ability to respond to challenges productively. Whereas berating yourself is going to do the exact opposite of all of those things. It's going to make everything harder. And even though it's difficult to sit there and know that you punted off a stack or you made a big mistake that cost you X amount of dollars, X amount of euros, even though that's hard, you got to learn to do it, because you are going to make mistakes. You are going to continually encounter situations that are difficult and where you don't make the right play. And over time, forgiving yourself for those mistakes is much more productive and more powerful than beating yourself up every time. There isn't a way to beat yourself up enough that you suddenly get better. It doesn't happen that way. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you found some useful tips from this list. If you'd like more content from myself, then you can find me on my own channel, Poker Fluency. I will be doing daily coaching sessions uploaded to YouTube going forward every weekday, so please watch out for that, and I hope to see you all there. In the meantime, if you have questions, I will be available in the GTO Wizard Discord, as always. And otherwise, good luck everybody, and see you next time.